Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. My very special guest today, Robert LaRoche. We're coming in right now with a song called Steal Your Heart. Welcome back, Robert.
Nice to be with you again.
All these songs, the soundtrack you sent to me, and in fact, you chose the 8 songs that we are playing on the interview today. There are 10 songs on this album, though. It's a real album. Forevermore is what it's called. You can get it at robertlarochemusic.com or OMAD Records. Robert, so let's go. I read this about you, and I just thought I gotta ask you. You've been playing. It's been said you've been performing professionally
Right.
since you were 15.
hmm
Where were you playing gigs that young?
That is true. Professionally means performing for payment.
Okay, it doesn't mean
And
exactly
so
a bar.
it's no, I was too young to play in bars, but in those days, this would have been, gosh, I don't know, 1979 or something like this. And in my hometown of Holyoke, Massachusetts, I had a real close friend of mine, still a close friend and a great guy named Michael Tchaikovsky, with a beautiful high voice. And my voice was a little bit lower register. And we were both heavily into the Everly Brothers, big Everly Brothers fans. So at that time, we were playing, talent shows or town fairs. But we kind of carved a little niche for ourselves by playing at weddings. We were hired for quite a few weddings where we would actually be in the church in the back where the organ player was. No microphones. Of course, the acoustics are generally quite good in a church. And we did a lot of those kind of things. Word got around, okay, these kids sing nice together. And so songs like Let It Be Me, all those great Boudleaux and Bryan songs, Devoted to You, the wedding song, that wasn't an Everly Brothers song. Remember the wedding song?
Yeah.
That was kind of like the obligatory one, and we did a quite nice version of it. I'm trying to think what else. I went to Catholic school. I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to 8th grade, which I'm quite happy about because we got a good education. And it was called Our Lady of Perpetual Help. And it was in a kind of a French-Canadian enclave of the city I grew up in, a neighborhood called Churchill. And it was a lot of Franco-American kids there, not exclusively. You didn't have to have a French last name, but there was many. And so we were taught by the nuns. We were taught by nuns. And I'll never forget, there was a tunnel. It's the craziest thing. There was a tunnel from the bottom of the cafeteria. There was a doorway and a staircase, a tunnel that went under the schoolyard into the church, kind of like secret passage stuff. And I don't know why.
Which is so much fun at that age.
I haven't thought about that in a long time. But anyway, so that was the church where we first saw the nuns playing guitar and doing what they call folk masses. And that blew our minds. We couldn't believe it because they were, a little bit disciplinarians, a little bit strict, and you had to behave. But then you'd see them on Saturday afternoons or Sundays, and that brings me to the song, Wherever You Go, I Shall Go. I think it might have been a hit, or at least it was a hit in the Catholic school world. But anyway, that was one of the songs we would do, and it kind of fit for weddings. And the first time I heard that was from the nuns performing that, and that had a huge influence on me. About 1970. I was, 7 years old, and seeing these nuns who, sit up straight. We wore a shirt and tie every day for 9 years. We weren't messing around. And but they also showed their other sort of non-academic disciplinarian side, which was really attractive. There they were playing acoustic guitars quite well and singing, and it was a mind blower.
You're the first rock star who's ever told me they were inspired by nuns playing the guitar.
I stand by it.
That's totally original.
Stand by it. It was a huge influence. Yeah, it really was. I remember a lot of those songs still now.
So what was,
you
do you
know.
remember how much you got paid the first, so you could, at 15,
I
you,
th-
you were a professional. What did you
I
get
want to
paid?
say I'd have to ask Mike. I think it was 50 cash each guy.
Oh, that's not bad.
We were available for $100. Yeah,
That's not bad these
1979.
days.
19, 1979, that was pretty good. And we were actually quite good at it, I think. And that's why we kept getting
Yeah, you are.
hired, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great story. So I just want to remind people, if you're just tuning in, we're talking with the great Robert LaRoche, and he was born in Holyoke, Massachusetts. And there, he told the story in the first segment. If you missed it, go back on the podcast. But they formed the power group, or he formed the power group, Sensations, the Size. This is 1982. They started playing professionally, and after 10 years of touring colleges and club circuits of New England, the Size were signed to Virgin Records and released their debut CD, What Goes On, in 1992. Just to kind of speed through a little bit of your timeline, um, they were playing. You're playing everywhere for 10 years, but we talked about at 8 years at the China Club and John D. Nicola. The disc received fantastic reviews, and the single "Think About Soul" was a staple on all the modern rock radio charts throughout the summer of '92. Do you remember when you heard your song music on the radio? That's a whole nother thing too. We're kind of going back like
Yeah.
what it used to be back then. And radio was
Mm-hmm.
ra- that's the aside from maybe getting on Ed Sullivan if he was still around, or now he wasn't. Now you Johnny Carson or Jay Leno or one of those big night shows, Saturday Night Live. This was like radio is.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that felt like? What that was like?
Well, I mean, I absolutely remember it. And I remember driving into, we were on tour. We were playing in Chicago at a really cool place. Gosh, what was it? The Metro. It's called the Metro. I'm guessing it's still there. And I remember driving in, and I'd never been to Chicago. It's a big town, important place. And driving into Chicago, and then this would have been late afternoon. We're probably on our way to the venue to sound check or to get the hotel keys. I can't remember exactly, but it was in the afternoon, and there's the big, that song. We have and still have a really great, powerful drummer, and it's floor tom on the snare. We're like, what? And we were all hooting and hollering. We loved it. And yeah, of course. And it was, but then as the tour went on, and this would happen in pretty much every town, because especially if we were performing there, that's why we were there. We had a show there, and it was sponsored by whatever radio station, Modern Rock, it was kind of called then. It wasn't, I don't know what, it wasn't like the top 40 dance stuff. It was songs with guitars for the most part.
Yeah. I miss that. So I'm in LA the other day, and Matt Penfield, who was actually on our show too a few months ago,
cool.
A classic.
I used to watch him
yeah,
on MTV. He played great
way
stuff.
Too late. Yeah, so I'm driving in LA the other day, and he's on SoCal Sounds now, and he's also still on KLOS. Man, he was playing one great thing after another, and he knew everybody personally, because he's been in the business. But that was the thing, right? You wanted to get somebody like a Matt Penfield or one of these great DJs player, and it was hard. That was hard work unless you were good. You guys obviously were, but it's just it's like climbing the mountain, and that's the pinnacle right there. Well, so you guys toured all over America with the Spin Doctors, the Gin Blossoms. Did you like those bands? I like both of them, but I don't.
Yes, absolutely.
Touring with them,
absolutely liked it, and we did stuff with them. We did I think the longest run we did was with a band out where you are in Los Angeles called Dada. They had they had the hit Disneyland. I'm going to Disneyland, and they were fantastic. And we did a MTV sponsored Rock the Vote tour. It was an election year. We did a Rock the Vote tour in the summer of '92, and it was the Size and Dada. their record had just come out on IRS, and ours had come out on Charisma. And
Miles
so they
Copeland.
100% right. And
Yeah.
they put the two bands together. Musically, it was a good fit, and they were outstanding. They just came through not too far from where we're having this conversation. They played in Boston just recently. I wasn't able to go, but I checked out some YouTube live videos, and they're still great. They're still great.
Yeah.
So that was a good time.
Well, listen, we got to take another quick break, and then we're going to come back and continue this great conversation. I kind of like reminiscing with you a little bit, taking us through rock and roll as it grows up and to where we are right now. We're going to go out with, this is an excellent, oh my God, this is a great song. I couldn't find where, when I was putting this into the soundtrack, I'm like, I just want to play this whole thing. Burn That Kingdom Down.
Right on.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about that, Robert?
Well, that song got some nice attention. It's a true story. That song is an absolute true story, and it's kind of a breakup song, really. And but there's also some redemption in there too. So I guess that I'll let the listener decide.
Yeah. Yeah. I always hate to ask too much to describe the song, because I know there's a story, but it's the listener. It's nice to hear it, for yourself. You don't want to change.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, a songwriter is always going to have inspiration, and generally autobiographical, in my case. And naturally, the characters in the song are based on real people. But rather than name names, I like to leave the interpretation open to the listener.
Yeah, well, because
because it's applicable in a lot of different ways,
and
not just my own experience.
And
I think so.
It's all about the listener, really. At the end of the day, this is my song, Robert. This isn't about you or anybody else. I'm taking your lyrics and the melodies and the way you make me feel, and I'm turning it into my own story, right? That's how.
Well, that's what I want to hear. And you said the magic words. It's the way it makes you feel, and that's what music's supposed to do. I remember when I heard "Go All the Way" by the Raspberries in 1972. I wasn't yet 10 years old, and the hair on my arms stood up. I'm like, what's going on here?
Was Steve Bartek in that band?
It was Wally Bryson was the killer guitar player with the SG, but of course Eric Carmen was the lead singer.
Okay, I just heard they came up in a conversation in another interview yesterday. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, let me with Steve Bartek from Oingo Boingo. So listen, if you want to book request, right, here's an email: booking@robertlarochemusic.com. If you want to book Robert, you can find him on Facebook at Robert LaRoche, and on YouTube. Great videos there. Go check those out. Robert LaRoche 8170. If you just type in Robert LaRoche, you'll find it too. I want to remind everybody, coming up on August 10th at August 7th at Lost Chord Guitars in Solvang, California. Robert LaRoche will be with Patricia Vonne, and you don't want to miss that. If you're anywhere up in wine country, check that out. August 10th, though, here's the big show I'm definitely going to be at. I hope you guys can all make it. Everybody out there listening, if you are anywhere near Los Angeles on August 10th, go to the iconic Mint. You guys are going on, I think, at 8 p.m.
Correct.
It's Robert LaRoche again with Patricia Vonne. And again, I'll be there. I'm going to try to be at both, but I'm definitely at the Mint, and come by and say hi. All right, we're going to take you out again to break right now with Burn That Kingdom Down, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.